But real quick, I was reminded when you said, the NFL is an opportunity, not a career. What's that acronym? It's like NFL stands for not for long. And I
Yeah,
forget, I forget what the fact is. I remember reading it, but it's crazy. It's like, I think like the average NFL career is like 3 years. It might even be
three
shorter than
years. Yeah,
that.
3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just wild. Because I always think about it as a fan. The reason that stat was so wild to me is because I think of all the players that I love. Like, for example, like I'm a huge 49ers fan. So like George Kittle, McCaffrey, like Debo, like all these guys, all those guys have been around forever. And like when you think about it that way, it's like natural to assume, oh, everybody has a career like CMC, or everybody has a career like Debo, or
Hmm.
Justin Jefferson, or like all these guys who are playing or are gonna play for 10 plus years. Which is wild when you think about that. The average career is only 3 years.
Yeah. That's how it is in most verticals and areas throughout life. Examples of success and high achievement, those examples, those players, those people, they become these kind of polarizing and iconic figures. So that can like skew the world's perception and representation of an area or a domain because we see the biggest and most iconic figures because they become the most omnipresent in our own kind of like in each one of ours kind of like perception. It is but when you really take into account the facts around any domain, there are exponentially more examples of, for lack of a better term, mediocrity in that domain. And when you look at the data and the metrics relative to like those numbers, then it becomes much more kind of clear what the realities really are. And in this instance, for which we're kind of like talking about that topic, it's the NFL lifespan, right? That's the reality of it. Is this kind of like 3 year? That was always like the number, the metric that you heard. I don't know if it's still the same, but that was the one that I always heard during my era. Was this like 3 year average career or lifespan of a professional football player? And I think when you take a step back and really like think about that, it makes sense because it's so physically demanding. The human body is really only meant to withstand so much. And in a competitive arena such as that, where you're scratching, clawing, and fighting to make the squad, that 53-man squad every season, there's always new, fresh legs coming in. And so those new, fresh legs, over time, it's like those averages make sense because there's less miles on those new guys' legs coming in, and people get beat up, and like I said, the human body is really only meant to take so much. So you have those really exemplary figures that are able to like keep it all together, the whole mind, body, spirit, character traits, all of it taken together to have like these longer careers. But it truly is not common. So that's even more so of kind of like credit to the fact of seeing a guy that can make it 10 years in the league. That's why that's like kind of like the milestone that all of us as players were really seeking to like hit that first milestone. I ended up technically getting 7 seasons in, but at that point my body was completely finished, like knees, all of that stuff. But I'm grateful and I'm fortunate to have played those 7 seasons and got to experience everything that comes along with it because I think that it taught me a lot of lessons and built a lot of character. So again, like I said, an amazing opportunity.